We all love the modern conveniences of today. But what if I told you that at a push of a button, you can enjoy it on your classic late model vehicle as well? Thanks to the guys over at Digital Guard Dawg, you can do it too. My name's John Hawkinson with Tomorrow's Tech. Today we're going to go out and install this iKey system on our 68 Chevy pickup truck. Show you just how easy this kit is to install. Click on this. If you have hesitation issues, you can move some. Alright guys, so with anything, and same thing I did when I installed the American Auto Wider kit into the C10 there. First thing I like to do is go ahead and just lay everything out so I see what I have to work with. So in this instance I went ahead and plugged everything up except for the push button start, which I have it up there right now. So what we want to do is we want to look at our ignition system. So on the Chevy C10, here's the ignition system. I went ahead and pulled it out. It's only a 4-wire system. You see that we have plenty of extra terminals in here, but we've only got 4 wires. One of those wires being a dedicated 12 volt to the battery. It's running on 14 gauge. So I have one more 14 gauge that I'm going to have to hook up directly to the battery. We've got 2 ignitions, 2 accessories, and 2 starters. We're only going to use one of each of those on this application. So first thing I'm going to do is run to Lowe's real quick and get some 14 gauge wire so I can hook one direct to the battery, and then we'll come back and start from there. Alright guys, we are back from the auto parts store, and I've got the 14 gauge wire that I need. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our terminals off the battery here. That way we don't go touching anything in here. Let me show you. I went ahead and took the ignition switch back out. This is where we're going to start. So I got some 14 gauge wire, and I'm going to go ahead and tap into the connectors that are here, and I'm going to keep this connector with this ignition switch so that it can be replaced if ever need be. I don't like getting rid of stuff. And just for documentation purposes, this wire actually went into here, just like this. So just if ever need be, we can see that red was all the way on the right, and we've got brown in the back, purple in the middle, pink on the far end. So keep that just in case. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pull each of these out, and we'll go ahead and get wiring. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do, I went ahead and pulled this connector here out of the unit. Alright, so this first top one, this is going to be the one that I'm going to connect into the ignition wires in the truck. This bottom one is going to be the one that I'm going to run to the battery. So I'm going to run a 14 gauge that I just picked up right there. I'm going to run it from the battery into the vehicle. Then I'm going to meet in the middle and solder them up with the solder gun here. And that's where we're going to get started at. I'm going to go ahead and put butt connectors on everything that's plugging into the ignition. We have accessory on, we have constant power, we have neutral safety switch, and we have starter power. So I'm going to go ahead and get all those terminaled up, and instead of splicing into them, I'm going to do it this way. And I've got my heat shrink kit here, so we're going to heat shrink them after we splice them up, and we're going to hit them with the heat gun there. Alright, so we're probably going to be out here for a while tonight, so I went ahead and brought the light out. So this is what I meant. This is what we're going to connect our first power. We're going to go ahead and plug into the back here and keep the original connectors. And then I'm just going to throw some heat shrink over it like this. And then I'm just going to heat shrink that bad boy up. And once we do that, we're going to go ahead and do the same with our starter and our accessory. Okay. Alright, so the next one that we're going to want to run into is going to be our green wire from the Dawg harness. The green wire is going to be our ignition 1. Alright, so we're going to find our ignition on here. This is an American Wire auto wire kit. So I've actually got the original diagrams, and then on top of that, these are all wired very well. So purple is going to be our neutral safety switch. Let's see, ignition feed. So that's what we're looking at now. We're going to go after the pink. And then this one, the brown, is going to be our, what is that, ignition, I think that says starter. Ignition switch accessory. Let's see. Ignition feed. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to have to look real quick at the starter now and just see which wire's running down there. Let me go grab the wiring harness for this and I'll come back and cut everything back on. Alright guys, so went ahead and brought my little soldering tool out here. I went ahead and ran 2 wires, 2 14 gauge. Went ahead and did a negative that's going to be plugged directly to the terminal on the battery. Because I read an instruction somewhere, there's a couple things that need to be plugged in direct to the battery on the grounds. And then here's our direct from the battery. I ran it through the firewall. I already had a rubber grommet, brand new, ready to go. Get some bare metal here. It's important to make sure you don't skip your heat shrink on this step. That's too little. Having a little tool like this makes soldering so nice. Alright, so we're just gonna let this touch on it there for a little bit. Okay, that's what we want. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and undo this. Alright, they made a really good connection there. So we're going to cover it up, throw a little bit of heat on it. What I like to do is go ahead and throw a little bit of black tape on it anyways. Alright guys, we got our power here. That's our direct to the battery. We got an extra negative just sitting here waiting for later. So right up here, I'm going to go ahead and black tape all those. I'm going to do them individually first. Alright, so I'm going to start back about here. I'm just going to start lacing all this up real quick. Alright, so our main power, ignition, accessory, all that. And then we've got two powers, one running to the battery, one running direct through the original harness. We've got all of that secure now. It's all hooked up. So at this point, I think I'm going to go ahead and work on this a little bit in order to get this key to work properly. I'm going to have to drill a couple holes into this so that we can use the one they gave us. It's going to cover this perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and just use what we got, and we'll go from there. Okay, got that all locked down good. Alright guys, so what we're going to have to do here is a little bit of drilling. Alright, so we're going to want our button to go down through here. So we're going to drill one hole through here, then we're going to drill 4 holes up through here so that we can get our push button prongs to go in. So I'll show you that here in a minute. Alright guys, so here's what we had to do. We had to cut one here in the middle. That's going to take our push to start button through, and then this one, and then I had to do one up here and up here. Those are going to hold the 4 prongs that go in, and then you pull them in and bend them, and that's going to do our push button start. So I'm going to go ahead and install it real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so what we got, everything's nice and tight. You can see we can push it just fine. It fits the keyhole, or fits the old bezel almost perfectly. So it's a pretty nice fit, I'd say. So we're going to move on to the next step. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off probably for tonight, maybe pick up in the morning. Alright guys, it is day 2. We'll get started late. This project should only take about 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours tops. So here we are. It's daytime. You can actually see what's going on here. So there's the start-stop button installed. It actually turned out really nice. I'm really happy with it. It actually covered that old bezel that was kind of scratched up from putting the key in it for so many years. So now my cigarette lighter and my push to start actually look new again. So we're making progress here. Okay, so just a quick recap. So far we've installed the push to start. We kept the original ignition switch in. We just made modifications so that it'll hold the push to start that came in the kit. That way we didn't have to buy a new push to start button that actually fit it properly. We just went ahead and did some modifications, but they're light modifications that you can do in your own garage. And then here we've installed our power. We ran one main power to the battery out under the hood, and I have one ground on a 14 gauge wire running out directly to the battery, negative side. Okay, so at this point now we're going to go ahead and find a location to mount this. and there's not very many places. You know, I can't really go up high with it because we are going to put a vintage air in here real soon. So I already purchased the backing for this. It's actually in the garage somewhere. But it's a big piece and it takes up all that room back there, so that eliminates that. So what I'm actually thinking about doing here, we have a nice amount of real estate right here. If you can see this. I don't want to put it up here because I don't know if water can get in there and drip down into the cab. So I don't want to drill or put any holes up into the top portion there. Because, you know, here would have actually been a good spot. But I'm thinking right here on this firewall is going to be our best bet. I think we're going to get it tacked up in there and that'll do just fine. So let me go ahead and figure out how exactly I'm going to mount this. And I'll come back and show you what I did. Alright guys, here we go. I'll show you what I did here. Alright, so I'm going to pull it back off, but I decided to go ahead and throw some kill mat. If you never use kill mat, get you a heat gun, place it where you want it, heat it up real good. It's like asphalt, you want to get it nice and warm. Then get you a good roller and roll it on. So I went ahead and rolled that real quick with some kill mat and decided to mount it right there. Just got a self-tapper in it for now. I mounted it this way with our dip switches on the bottom, so if you ever want to come make adjustments, you don't have to get to, you know, you don't have to come remove a bunch of stuff to get in here and do it. So that's going to work out. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it back off, but once I get done and I go back to final install it, because there's a little curvature here, I'm going to go up towards the top and put some 3M tape, dual-sided tape, and go ahead and throw a piece up towards the top there, and then I'll mount it back for the final installation. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and pull that back off, and we're going to get into wiring the rest of our stuff. And we're probably going to go ahead and start tearing the doors off here so we can install the power door lock actuators. And yeah, so I'm not going to record all that. If you guys want to, you can check out this video right here. This is the video I did on how to remove your door panels. So you can do all that and watch that video if you want to. Alright guys, so I went ahead and removed the unit again here now. Alright, so we've got a couple things to consider before we go any further with our install at this point. Alright, so these back here on the back, these are called your dip switches. You have 1 through 5. So let's see, by default it looks like everything is off. You get a little arrow pointing down to turn on. Okay, so here's what we want to consider, and your application may or may not be the same. So let me move to the guide here so I'm telling you the right information. Okay, so for number 1, it's going to be all the way to the left. That's going to be our PKE. That's our passive, let's see, that's going to be called our passive keyless entry. If we're doing power door locks, we're going to want that on. If we're doing shaved doors, we're going to want that off. So I don't have shaved door handles, so that one, we're going to go ahead and turn it on. Now the thing about these dip switches, you need to adjust these with no power to the unit, so it essentially just needs to be off and not hooked up. Okay? Alright, so number 2 is going to be our alarm system itself. Alright? So we are going to cut the alarm system on. I'm hooking it up. All right. So number 3 is going to be if you want to chirp whenever you hit the lock and unlock on your key fobs, or whenever you walk up to the vehicle and it locks or unlocks. All right. So that's what number 3 is going to do, and I actually want that feature. I want this to be a cool experience. So we're going to cut that on. Okay. Next is going to be the horn and siren. We are going to hook this up to the horns. If you haven't seen the video I just did, I installed some Forbin dual horns just for this project. So we're going to go ahead and cut that on. Alright, and the last one, number 5, is the dome delay. So if you have a vehicle that has a delay with the lights on the interior, you're going to want to cut that on. In this case, we're in a 68 model pickup truck. It does not have delay, so we're going to leave that off. Okay? Alright, so the other important setting that we're going to want to do here, we're going to have these 2 jumpers back here in the back that you've probably been wondering about. Alright, there's 2 of them, and one of them is, the top one is moved over to, it's got 3 pins, and all it is a jumper, a switchback connector. Alright, so the top one here, that's going to be our brake sensor. Down here under the brake, you're going to have a little sensor. So that sensor could do 2 things. It could give power whenever it's pushed, or it could not. So right now, the default is set for it to receive power when the brake is pushed. So it can tell the start button, to go ahead and crank the vehicle. So I'm not sure about that one for right now, okay? So we're going to skip that, and we're going to leave it on the default, which is positive. So it wants to receive power whenever the brake's pushed. The bottom one, that's going to be your door trigger, okay? So this is a 68 model pickup truck. Some maybe did have door triggers. It actually had a spot for them, but this one did not. When I installed the American Wireless auto kit, I rewired the whole entire truck. I actually installed some switches. Alright, so whenever the door closes, the lights go off in the cab, and I actually installed, I actually installed these LEDs here, one on each side, so that we have floor lights as well. So when the doors are open, my dome light and 2 floor lights come on, which are LEDs. It looks really good. So I installed these myself. Alright guys, so real quick, decided to go ahead and move over to another matter here. Alright, so this little bar that has a longer cable attached to it, this is going to be your emergency card to get back into the vehicle in case your batteries go dead or something happens to where you can't get in. So what you'll do is you'll take your emergency RFID card and hold it over this like you would a bar reader getting into an office building, and this will let you in. Okay, so what we're going to do with this, I'm going to bring it over here on the driver's side, and as you can see, there's already a hole, like a drain hole, down in here. And I've already test fit. That one will actually fit in there perfectly, so I'm not going to do anything different with that. Alright, and then we're going to have this right here, which is our sensor that creates a proximity around the vehicle. Alright, so I'm going to take this one, and I'm just going to go ahead and drill 1 hole right down through here to get the cable in. And then I'm just going to leave it here. I'm not even going to do the tape on it for now. I'm going to leave the 3M tape on it because we are going to paint this here eventually. We're going to get it repainted. So I'm just going to leave that on there, and I'm just going to go ahead and mount it and, well, leave it there. And then it actually has a cover that covers over the dash. Alright, so all I'm going to do is just drill 1 hole right down through here. It'll be easy to reach in and grab it, so that'll be no big deal. Over here for the emergency card reader, we don't have any issues. We already have a drain hole, and I already tested it, so it's going to fit right in there. Okay, and then we're going to have one more antenna. And they recommend you putting them on the windows. I'm not going to do that. It's not going to look good. And there's nowhere else. I mean, I could try to get it up here, you know, because I can run wire from here down through the cab corner, which I've already done when I rewired the truck. But I don't really want to do that either. I don't really want to get into that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hope for the best. And for this one, you can actually, you know, throw some. They give you a spot to mount them with some screws. So I'm just going to move it to the bottom right here, and I'm going to mount it right into the middle, and I'm just going to hope for the best. You know, if it works, it works. I mean, surely it will, but you know, they claim metal getting in the way of it can really interfere with it, shorten the distance. But again, it's a single cab pickup, so I mean, I'm gonna have one right here anyways, so sometimes, guys, you just have to do the best you can do, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, so the first two sensors are in. There's the hole that I drilled for that one. I've got it centered up pretty good. I'm just going to leave it there for now. There's our RFID reader. It actually fit through that little drip hole right there. It's a little snug fit, you know, it'd be tough having to get it back out, but we got her in there. So I'm actually going to leave it right here in front of the wiper blade so I can always know to hold it right there at the wiper blade. Okay. So now we're just going to cover it back up with our cover here, and you'll never even know they're there. Alright guys, so there's the back sensor. I'm a self-tapper kind of guy, so I just went ahead and threw some self-tappers in there. Got it all leveled up with the center here. So that's where I'm going to go ahead and put that one. Keep it out of sight. The other two, you can't even tell they're in there now. Alright guys, so I decided to go ahead and run our antenna cable. So this is a 2-in-1. This is our portion, the 4-pin that connects into the computer. You've got one that goes to the front. It's the shorter cable. So I went ahead and predetermined the length on this one and just went ahead and threw some electrical tape to simplify things and keep it clutter free. Same thing here on the back. I went ahead and ran it up and through here. Just kind of lost a whole bunch of it back here because this was a longer cable in case you got a 4-door car or an SUV. So we've already mounted here. We've got our cable ran down through. So I'm going to go ahead and lift the matting up here. I'm going to run it up through the front and then get it on up in here to the center where we're going to mount our computer box. And then I'm going to go ahead and plug up the front one, and we'll have that portion of the job done. Obviously you need the sensors for all this to work. And I'm trying to hurry up and get it to where I can get the start button to work now if I need to. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Alright guys, we got our door sills put back together. Alright, so our chip reader up here, I ran it down through. I've got it waiting right here. Okay. And now I've got our other one coming up here. We've got front sensor hooked up top, bottom back sensor running down under the carpet to the back. Alright, so next step, I'm going to go ahead and install the shock sensor. Okay, so this has got some 3M tape on the back of it. I'm not going to use it yet because I'm going to pull the steering column back out to replace, I want to get one of those Veneta fabrication steering column inserts. So I'm going to replace that later. So for now, you've got two little spots on here to run a zip tie. So I've got my zip tie run through here just like that. So we're going to zip tie this to the steering shaft. And I'm going to leave it to where I can reach my adjuster here so we can adjust it later. You can adjust the sensitivity, and I'll show you guys how to do that later. probably in another video, so we don't keep this one real long. Alright guys, here we are. Alright, so next we're going to go ahead and install this little guy right here. This is our indicator light. This is going to show that the alarm is on or off, or I can tell you if the alarm was set off. It's got a couple different options in there. We'll go over those later, maybe in another video about functionality. But for now, we're going to get it installed. So what I plan to do here, this was all custom made before we got the truck. My wife's brother did this. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull this off and probably mount it right in here in between the turn signals. Maybe, I don't know, once I get it off, but either way, it's going to go in here somewhere. I'm just going to drill a little hole, put it in, be done with it for now. So we're going to go ahead and knock that out real quick. Alright guys, so here's a quick peek on the inside. There's all the guts and all that good stuff. So we went ahead and pulled this out. This is going to get replaced in the future. I really want to get one of the cool ones that Veneta Fabrication has on his website. But for now, we're going to go ahead and use this. So what I've done, I went ahead and drilled a hole. And the best way to do this is go to your drill set, pull a couple of your drill bits out and set them down, and then take this blue connector and see which one it fits in whenever you pull the drill bits out of your set. Whichever one that fits in, that's the drill bit you're going to need. I don't know, I'm not going to tell you which one because it could always be different. So I'm going to go ahead and mount that in here. This is all just a rig up. Just ignore it. Okay, and then I got the hot glue gun out because I want to be able to move that in the future once we get something better. I'm just going to hot glue and make sure it doesn't move around. I actually need to hot glue a little bit of this anyways, because when I was drilling it, I was trying to do it without pulling it out, and sure enough, I broke a little bit of it. So I'm going to hot glue that back, and we're going to go ahead and install this back into the dash. Alright guys, so I've only got 6% battery left, so real quick, we're going to go ahead and chat about the 9-pin that you have here. Alright, so out of this whole entire 9-pin harness on the 68 Chevy install, I'm only going to be using one. It's going to be the purple. Alright, so the purple is going to be our horn button. So it's going to send the security signal from the unit to the horn. It's the only one that we're going to use out of this. But we'll go ahead and talk about it real quick for anyone that anyone that's interested. All right. So our gray is going to be a bypass module. If you guys already have a security system in your vehicle, or you need to bypass, you got a data module here. That's going to be your plus and negative. All right. So if you're doing a trunk, that's going to be your brown with the black stripe. If you guys want to add a trunk in there, that's going to be a negative. All right. So our horn, we're going to install that one, or if you have a siren. If you guys decide to do the window roll-up kit, that's when you're going to use the yellow one. All right. And then you have two auxiliary channels. And what that means is you can actually push the lock button and then the trunk button to make this one function. And then you can do vice versa, push the unlock button and the trunk button and make this trigger something. You can actually kind of choose whatever you want. It's kind of cool. You can use them to turn on LEDs or whatever you want. But you have that option if you want to use those. I don't have anything I want to use them for. So, and then if you have a factory alarm system already on your car, your blue with the black stripe and your green with the black stripe, that's going to be your disarm and arm. You're going to hook those up to an existing alarm system. So we're not going to use any of that. The only one we're going to use is the horn. So that made it real easy. I went ahead and bundled everything up real nice. Went ahead and black taped it all up. Alright. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and move over to the next harness. We'll go ahead and just talk about it real quick now too. This one's going to be your 6, that's going to be your 7 pin. You're going to have 7 over here. Alright. So neutral safety, you're only going to do that if you choose the remote start option with the kit. Same with the hood pins. That's going to be the sensor up on the hood that tells if you have the hood open or not. On this one, we are going to do the door triggers. Alright. So you have option for positive, negative. That was that jumper that was on the box I showed you earlier. So we are going to do the door triggers so the vehicle knows if the doors are opened or closed. We are going to do the brake switch. The purple or empty, that is not used at all. If you decide to do remote start, you're going to want to do your yellow. That's going to be your tach timing. So you can adjust the system to the amount of time it takes for your vehicle to crank. So we're not going to do that on here because I didn't do the remote start option, which I don't really need it. So if you have a diesel, you have a wait to start here for your diesel. So the only thing that we're going to be using on this harness are 2 of them. We're going to be using our green. We're going to use our brown for the brake switch. Everything else I'm going to tape up and do like I just did. So on this 9 pin, we're only using 1. On the 7 pin, we're only using 2. So that's going to make it real easy. And then you're going to have one more harness down here at the bottom. It's a 3 pin. Alright. So we are not using that one at all. That's if you have a vehicle using negative start, it's going to be for like the ISIS or your Infinity box. We're not going to install that one, so we're not even going to plug it up. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and clean up our 7-pin harness here, get it ready, and then I'm going to go ahead and start tying those in. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and start digging into the power door lock install itself. If you haven't watched my other video, I installed power windows. Got some custom switches here where I could retain the original roll-up knobs. Alright guys, here we go. We're back here hooking the big harness up for the power actuators. Alright, so you're going to have a black that's going to have an end on it like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab both of our normally closed. So both of the normally closed, we're going to ground these out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all these together. And then I've got the ground that's running directly to the battery already stripped right here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all these, and I'm just going to go ahead and solder them up to this one. And I'll come back and show you what to do after that. Oh, here, let me show you. Our normally common, that's going to be our blue black stripe with silver writing. That's going to be our green black stripe with silver writing. So these are going to get grounded. Don't have to do anything but pull the plugs off, and then we're going to do a little soldering on them. I'm going to go ahead and cut these. Get all these put together. Just about like that. I'm going to go ahead and get one piece of heat shrink that'll fit over all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some solder on that, and that'll take care of all our grounds direct to the battery. Alright guys, so before I get too carried away, I haven't installed the actuator on the passenger side door yet, but that's these 2 wires here. These are the 2 for the driver's side, which I've already done. So before I get too carried away, I'm going to go ahead and do a little testing here. So I'm going to get the common wires. So we're looking for white, black, silver, and we're looking for white, silver. Alright, so that's going to be these two here. So I'm going to go ahead and just temporarily tie these together like this. Just throw a little bit of black tape on them. Alright, so that takes care of our door switches. Alright, so now that leaves us with only a couple more. We've got these two grays here. The two grays have fuses attached to them. These are going to be our parking lights, left and right. And then we've got these remaining two. These are going to be 12 volt power. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I've already got the original pigtail. I'm going to cut out of here real quick for the American Auto Wire kit. And that's going to allow me to the power that was allocated for the power door locks. I just got to go grab the manual real quick. I'm going to go ahead and pull it down. As you can see, I've already tapped power windows into that switch. Alright, so that's our power windows. I just can't remember which one of these was for power locks. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a dual terminal and plug it in, and that will take care of the 12 volt power for the one that has the two fuses on it here. Okay, so if you guys did the American Auto Wire kit and you have your accessory plug here, red is going to be for the power door locks. So that's going to be a battery switch, so it's going to stay on all the time. So it's actually going to go in right next to our power windows. Alright, so in order for this setup, we want our 12 volt battery attached on, let's see, what are those? Those are our normally open. Normally open is going to be green and blue. Alright, so we're going to take our green and blue. That looks good to me. Got our fancy Amazon crimpers here. So far we have one actuator installed into the driver's door. I've already got it plugged up, connected into the wires here. These are the ones for the passenger door. Alright, so we want to go ahead and start hooking our power up. So if you can see this cable here, this is the accessory cable that comes in the American Auto Wire kit. As you can see here, yellow is for your power windows. The power for those only comes on when you turn the ignition on. But the red one next to it is power on full time. That one's intended for our power door locks. So I've still got some of the heavy duty professional connectors. So what we're going to do is from the control unit, as you can see here, we've got let's see where that on this diagram here, when we're adding actuators, we have two 12 volt batteries, one for each side. So we're going to go ahead and take both of them and connect them into one using this connector. And then we're going to slot them right next to the power windows on the main connector. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this connector off, just like that. All right. So we're gonna insert into that slot right there if you're looking at it that way. All right. So those are going to be our normally opens. All right. So if we come up here and look, our normally open, that's going to be white and black and white. All right. So that's going to be these two right here, real easy. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just twist these two together real quick, just like that. I'm going to get my heat shrink kit out here. And it looks like we could probably use this one, just like I did on that one. Keep them nice and pretty. Okay. Alright, so the first two slots here are dedicated for the wire. Alright, doesn't need much there. Alright, we're gonna get our fancy little Amazon pliers here. Got these things for like 20 bucks. Super nice pliers. Okay, looks like we got it that time. Okay, there we go. Took a little bit there, but we got it. Alright. There we go. We've got that one done. Alright guys, so I've got, I just went ahead and ran it over like this for now. Got it plugged in so we can test to make sure it all works. So now we're going to go over to our green and our black. Alright, so these two should be our actuators. Alright guys, so I've only got one side here done, but the top's going to be our lock. Alright, now we're going to hit our unlock. There you go. Okay. So that's actually working. Alright, so here we have it in park. You notice now that I'm in here, this is blue. So we're going to put our foot on the brake, turn the ignition on, which I only have this come on with the ignition. Alright, but we could maybe turn our power on to the radio. Push and hold. Push and hold. Okay. So it cuts the radio off. And if you notice here, we've got the little blue light there blinking. Alright guys, so real quick, I wanted to show you here, if you can see right here, this white wire is actually going to be our brake switch. That's the one we're going to want to tap into here. So what we're going to do, just to show you, we're going to go ahead and touch into here. This part's coming out a little bit anyways. Alright, so when you touch your brake, that should give it power. Just like that. Alright, so that's where the brown wire is going to go on our kit here. So we're going to tap the brown into here, and we're going to do our turn signals into the yellow and the green. Alright guys, so now that we've got everything where we're ready to start testing everything out, before we had everything cut off, so now we want to go ahead and do our dip switches and get them in our correct positions, so that we can start testing out the alarm system, hear the chirps when we hit the door locks and all that good stuff. Alright, so what we're going to do, our passive key, we're going to go ahead and turn those on. So if we want them on, we're gonna flip those ones up. Alright, so that's going to be our number 1. So we're going to go ahead and flip it up now. Alright. And then we want our alarm system on, so we're going to go ahead and flip it up as well. That's going to be our number 2. We want our door locks. We want 1 pulse up or 2 pulses down. I think we're going to keep it down. And then our siren, we're going to want it up. So that's going to be number 4. number 5, our dome delay, right now it's off in the up position. Or if we want it on, we can push it down, so we're going to keep it off. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and try that. So real quick, I went ahead and wrapped up the turn signals. I'm going to go ahead and run those over real quick, along with our brown for the switch. We're going to go ahead and get all these hooked up. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and get this back up in here. Alright guys, we're coming to an end of our venture here with our iKey Premier from Digital Guard Dawg. Alright, so I am standing away from the vehicle right now. I've got the key fob, so I'm going to go ahead and show you. I got the lights hooked up in the front. That was the lock button. There's the unlock button. Okay, so one issue that I ran into so far, you only get 2 wires for wiring in the parking lights. Alright, so on this particular model, it sends a signal to the individual lights. So I was only able to hook up the first 2. Let me go show you the back. So the backs I don't actually have. Okay, so you see they're not working. Okay, so I called Digital Guard Dawg after I registered the unit, and I got to speak to Brian over there. And I got to tell you guys one thing real quick. I got to speak to their customer service, and so far, out of a lot of the places, especially the bigger places that I've been dealing with and doing videos and stuff on, usually customer service takes forever. Sometimes you don't get through to them, sometimes they don't call you back. I called Digital Guard Dawg. I was on the phone for less than a minute, and somebody answered the phone just like that and was able to start helping me and answered all my questions. I was on the phone for maybe 3 minutes, had all my questions answered. Alright, so just like that, man, those guys are awesome. That's all I gotta say. He answered everything, so I'm gonna share with you guys real quick a couple things that you do want to go and check here. Alright, so one of them, alright, we're going to step away real quick. Alright, vehicle just locked. There was no chirp. Alright, coming back into distance. Alright, it unlocked, no chirp. Okay, we're going to back out. Lights flash. Get back in distance. Not close enough. Alright, so if you want that chirp, we're going to have to go back in down here to the dip switch. Alright, so let me bring the book back up here, and I'm going to show you guys a couple things that I ran into along the way. Okay. Camera here ready. Alright guys, so on the dip switch, if you want your horn to chirp whenever you hit the lock and unlock, you're going to actually want to take number 4 switch and put it in the siren position. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the battery and put it in the siren position, and that was about one of the only things that I wanted to get figured out. So they helped me with that. Alright, so if you come to page 8 and 9, now this isn't going to be on every system. He said that they actually had changed the wiring on this kit And during that, the company that changed the colors didn't notify them, they just did it. So one thing that you're going to have to look at on your kit, over here on page 8, you've got the wiring, and I followed this wiring first because it was on the first page. This is all the wiring for your door actuators, okay? So whenever you get to the 10 pin, make sure that it follows the guidelines over here, if you have this this stick on, okay? They weren't able to scratch this out, but this is not good. If you do it this way, you'll blow some fuses. You see I got a couple fuses here that I blew while I was doing it until I figured it out. So just make sure that if your book has page 9 with a paste on it, make sure that you follow this wiring guide right here, okay? So make sure that your green is your common, your blue is your common. These are the ones that are going to your door actuators, okay? I wanted to try all these out also. That's why they're still taped up here. I'm going to start cleaning everything up here in a minute, okay? All right, and then your white and black are going to the battery, okay? Those are, and if you got this American Auto Wire kit, it's going to be right next to your power windows. They're going to go into the red plug, okay? So really, that's all I got for any issues. And they were really easy to work out. And again, if you guys need customer service, they have awesome customer service. Can't say anything bad so far. Everything in this system is really awesome. Alright, so once you get in, you close the door. As long as you got your switch done right, like I showed you, put your foot on the brake, watch your pedal, or watch your light. Starts flashing. Vehicle starts right up. Alright. So once you're done, just push and hold. Shuts back down. Good to go. Alright, so the only other thing I wanted to share on this truck, again, we've got 4 wires coming out of here for our parking lights. So let me show you down here. Okay, so you've got your blue and your light blue. Alright, those are going to be for your front parking lights. Alright, and then you're going to have your green and your yellow. Those are going to be the rear parking lights. So in order to make the rear parking lights work, I'm going to come off of the 2 grays that I ran over from the Digital Guard Dawg box, and I'm just going to run a jumper, attach it to the gray, and then I'm going to run that jumper over to these 2 as well, and then that will allow me to have parking lights front and back flash. If we're going to do it, might as well do it right. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that. Once I do that, I'm going to get all this cleaned up, and then I'm going to run over here to the passenger door and get that actuator installed over there. Alright guys, this concludes our video on how to install the iKey system from Digital Guard Dawg. I hope that this video encourages you guys to go out and do this on your own. It was actually a pretty decent, easy install. It really should only take you about 5 to 7 hours. It took me 3 days. 1 day due to the rain. Another day due to all the camera equipment and everything it takes to make these videos happen. But really, you should be able to knock this out in 1 full day if you watch my video and get it all down pat. So if you guys want to pick you up a kit, make sure you check down in the description below. And also, make sure if you don't have your power door locks already, you pick you up a set of power door locks. You can get 2 or you can get 4 from Digital Guard Dawg as well. So guys, hope this video helped you out. I'll see you on the next one. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching my video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and while you're at it, check out some of my social media pages below and the new videos I got coming out next.